former BBC Radio Wales editor Steve Austins. Hello again, Steve.
Hey Gareth, how are you doing?
Yeah, so we've gone through the process then of being the editor at Radio Wales, and during that 7 years, did you notice much change along the way?
Yeah, I mean, I think actually that the major change was the technology by which people get radio was changing in front of our eyes, and also the people's behaviour in terms of the way that they listen to radio. I think people have become far more promiscuous as the years have gone on, and I don't mean that in a biblical sense. I mean that in terms of actually you've literally now got choice at the end of your fingertips. So, you know, in the old days, kind of like, you know, you had to kind of, you know, radio waves were very
the days of Luxembourg,
exactly, you know, and you literally had to stand in one place in order to get the best signal and stuff like that. Well, or, you know, digital radio and kind of really good quality.
It's too good in a way now, isn't it? It's too good.
Well, it's changed it because and actually choice has kind of just come in. So, you know, when I started on Radio Wales, the amount of radio stations that you could listen to in Wales, probably you could count on two hands. By the time I left the job 6-7 years later, you needed 2, 3, 4 sets of hands in order to count the amount of stations that people had access to. And actually what we tended to find was that people were still listening to the station, but they were listening to the station for fewer and fewer hours every week. Now, what that does is it changes the relationship with the radio station. So actually you still have people like Owen Money who just, you know, that's real appointment listening. People listen to Owen on a Saturday morning because they've always listened to Owen, you know, since the early 90s. But actually kind of the relationship with news was changing in front of our eyes. You know, people were waking up in the morning, they were grabbing their phones and looking at the news. That's right. Whereas in the olden days, people were listening to the radio for their news.
BBC Radio Wales breakfast.
So you know, we've just had that conversation about kind of social media and how that's kind of just changed our relationship. So all of this was happening in the time that I was at Radio Wales, and I think basically it for me, it cemented my sense of kind of what I wanted to do next. It gave me a real sense of kind of what the mission of the station needed to be, but also personally, I felt actually this is a really, really exciting time to be in any sort of broadcasting media, and that's kind of where, for me, the love of podcasting has kind of come from.
And of course, they're tightening their grip as well, Steve, aren't they? You know, as regards to the funding, you know, the licence fee and things like that. And of course, they've made cutback after cutback. And for people like yourself, that's got to be a tough old job, then, isn't it? Because where do you actually cut back?
Well, the funny thing is that it's running any sort of public sector organisation, public service organisation. On the one hand, you know what your funding is for X amount of time, so you know kind of, you know. So I knew that the funding for my radio station was locked in for 3 years. I knew, you know, I knew what it was going to be.
So you can plan then.
You can plan. But of course, what you can then see is that your budget this year is going to be bigger than your budget next year, which is going to be bigger than the budget year after. So what we tended to find was that as that license fee was frozen for, I think, what was it, 7-8 years, you know, the amount of money that you had to spend on things, you know, had to reduce. But then at the same time, my time at Radio Wales coincided with one of the greatest periods of Welsh sport that we've ever had, you know, and actually we're probably still living through it in a different form. But you know, if you
had the Gatlin years for most of that.
You had the Gatlin years, so kind of, you know, we got used to kind of winning Grand Slams and championships, and you know, we had our first World Cup semi-final in that time. We qualified for our first major football tournament in 60 years. We had the Ryder Cup. We had 2 Ashes tests. We had
Cardiff City, of course.
Cardiff City, Swansea City in the you know, Swansea won the League Cup. Cardiff got to the FA Cup, the League Cup final. You know, you had
brilliant
this
times.
Extraordinary period. And then, as I say, as you're managing budgets over here, you are having to kind of work out, right, well, how am I going to send the team to France for 4 weeks?
It's very expensive,
in order to
do it.
It
doesn't come cheap.
But what a privilege. What a privilege to be able to kind of bring to life some of those things, and not just the sport, but you know, kind of big major kind of events and stuff like that. You know, what I used to love was the capability of being able to kind of turn a figment of somebody's imagination into something that.
And Rob Phillips, in fairness, he does it so well, doesn't he?
Oh, Rob is tremendous.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Rob is, you know, in terms of the things that I'm most proud of, you know, setting up, you know, Call Rob Phillips, and actually kind of making a virtue of Rob as a brilliant broadcaster is one of those. But you know, just even, you know, going away from sport, you know, just having, you know, the Roald Dahl centenary.
Oh yes,
you know,
that's right. You
years back, you know, and actually turning that into a live radio event, and having a Roald Dahl chart, and you know, and having the ability to kind of just work with the National Orchestra and do fun things. You know,
Colin has got it quite, although he has got the Euros coming up again in the summer.
Yeah, well,
so he faces the same issues, doesn't he?
Yeah, and you know, I mean, again, it's you know, he's doing a really good job, and you know, he's brought Cara Vorderman onto the station.
Yeah,
kind of
he was up a couple of weeks back having a chat with Terry.
Yeah,
Come and visit us. Nice guy, Colin, as you know yourself. So you left BBC Radio Wales in 2016, and now you got your own production company.
That's right. So I kind of I'd done the job for 7 years. I'd hit 40. I kind of thought I've
getting on now.
Well, the funny thing is that I had 18 brilliant years at the BBC, and I could quite easily see myself having another 18 years at the BBC doing one thing or another.
I've got to ask you this. Just apologies for interrupting, Steve, but what was the biggest achievement for you? If somebody said to you, right, Steve, Radio Wales editor, what was the highlight?
The highlight was definitely the Euros,
right?
Because as I just merging kind of my two lives, you know, I've been following Wales around Europe for 20 years nearly, and the ability to be able to see, well, seeing us get to the semi-final of a major footballing tournament was beyond probably our wildest dreams. But secondly, the ability to be able to kind of convey that national sense of pride. And, you know, we all knew that this was beyond what we thought, and we all knew that this was our day in the sun, and we all knew that, you know, the whole of Europe was looking at Wales, and to be able to have the ability to be able to convey that excitement to people, and for it to be a truly all Wales event. We always struggled uniting North and South, East and West. True. You know, we are a disparate nation. We are kind of, you know, more often kind
and
of.
And the North Walians loved it as well, didn't they?
Well, you know, football is you know is enormous. You know, it's big, probably bigger in North Wales than it is in South. You know, and actually to have something that truly unites us was just a real privilege and a passion. You know,
and I suppose I've got to ask you as well, biggest disappointment, if there was one, something you look back and think, oh, if only you'd done that slightly different. Anything that sort of pops out, or are you generally happy right across the board?
I think everything is kind of, you know, hindsight is a wonderful thing, and I really wish anybody could do a high-profile job with the benefit of hindsight, because you'd make better decisions.
Absolutely.
I think that we, because of that unprecedented period of sport, we probably went quite sport heavy, and I think kind of some of our traditional listeners kind of felt, oh, hang on a second, this is a bit much. And I think probably I would have got that balance a little bit more.
Fair enough.
You know, right. Yeah. That being said, as I say, kind of you have to look at things, and you have to do things in, you know, with what seems right to you at that particular time.
And I suppose Colin maybe now can benefit a bit from that, because he's probably thinking, right, well, okay, let's try something a bit different, maybe in the evening time, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and you know, we work, you know, I mean, we worked together for a couple of years, kind of in, you know, in the early part of my time as editor. And obviously he came on and took over as editor when I left. So I you know, there's you know, I've looked at what Colin has done with the radio station, and I've got to say I'm immensely proud of it still, and they're a fantastic team, and I, you know, I miss the people.
Yeah.
I definitely miss kind of, you know, and actually I go back and I produce some radio
You
shows.
still go to the Christmas dues, don't you?
No, I don't get the invites to the Christmas dues any longer, but I do still.
One of Evans's famous Christmas quizzes.
But I you know, I still produce radio shows. So I produce Colin Jackson and Suzanne Packer on the station. I kind of was the first producer of Carol Vorderman when she joined the station first, and I still make radio features for the program. I'm still deeply in love with that radio station, and it will always be part of my heart. But I hit 40, as I say, and I just thought I don't want to retire having only worked pretty much for one organisation. So kind of so in 2017. Myself and my wife, we kind of struck out on our own and created our company, Bengo Media.
Yeah. And you do podcasts, because you mentioned earlier, because I was diagnosed myself with 2 cancers back in 2015, and you've been working with Macmillan, you said.
That's right, yeah. So we're a company that makes podcasts for organisations, so we'll do the whole kit and caboodle. If you want, or we help companies kind of create podcasts and train them how to do it and let them get on with it. So in recent times we've been working with Macmillan. We've done some work with Macmillan down in the team down in Bridgend, the Welsh team, but we've also done with the UK team. And at the moment we're creating a series of podcasts for them called Talking Cancer, which is 30 to 40 minutes sitting down with somebody like yourself who has an experience of some point within the cancer.
Because people will listen, won't they? They listen to people who've gone through it.
Absolutely, and you know, and actually, there probably isn't anybody listening to this program today that hasn't been touched by cancer in one form or another, whether they've had it themselves or are living through it now, or kind of a close relative, and actually. Therefore, being able to sit down and listen to somebody who is either going through it or has been through it and have that first person experience, it helps answer a lot of those questions that you have it yourself. It helps you feel, hang on a second, I'm not on my own here.
That's right.
I'm not the only person going through this. So actually having that conversation and then bringing on one of Macmillan's fantastic professionals to be able to kind of what am I trying to say? Sorry, the kind of career in broadcasting, I can't speak, but but to be able to
be there,
be able to kind of make that kind of applicable to everybody listening, is really
informative and I suppose in a way entertaining.
Oh, it is entertaining. I laughed so much listening to the stories of these people. There's a fantastic guy called Errol who we recorded last week. His podcast is out next Wednesday, and Errol is a larger than life East London guy. He kind of does some football coaching for Leyton Orient, had his own garage, and basically turned up to the GP surgery because his wife had been bugging him about his snoring. Saw a leaflet for get your bloods tested for prostate cancer. They took his bloods and he had 75% kind of cancer in his prostate.
PSA would have been at times.
So his PSA was sky high. Anyway, he has become a huge campaigner for this, to the point where actually he then, every man that came into his garage afterwards, he said, them, have you had your prostate done?
And I've done the same thing.
I've
done exactly the same thing, because one of the cancers I had was prostate, and I often say, well, no, not often, but on a regular basis, I've said, oh, what about this PSA, you know, and people, men, obviously, they think, what are you on about, Gareth? PSA?
We're just not good at
actually talking about women are much better.
Absolutely, and we're just, we are, you know, we'll talk about anything. We'll talk about the football, we'll talk about the weather, we'll talk about, you know, whatever. But actually sitting down and having a conversation about our own health, we don't do it.
Cancer, mental health issues, there's another one. You know,
classic example.
Yeah, two really good examples. Well, Steve, we could talk all day, obviously, and if Terry joined us now, we'd be in until next week. But thanks for coming in. I know you're very busy. We've been trying to get this sorted for months and months.
It's been, I think we started having this conversation in 2012.
I think we did, didn't we? Yeah, but we finally got there, so it's great to see you. You're looking well. Good luck with Bengo. Bengo production. Good luck with it, and don't forget to come back to see us pretty soon as well.
Thanks very much,
Steve Austin. Thank you very much indeed. Cheers, Steve.
Thank you.